Hi, this is Mrs. Dahlman. We are continuing with comparing and contrasting and utilizing the skills we've learned through comparing and contrasting settings, characters, and events, and how all of those combine to help us understand the purpose of a story and different information found within a story, as well as ultimately understanding the lesson or moral of this story. We started yesterday, or the previous lesson, with the Let's Play Lava Day, and some of you found that easier than you thought it would be, but others of you found it harder than you thought it would be. So we're going to practice a little bit more with a different story, but the idea is, again, you're taking those individual components and you're combining them together to enrich your understanding of what you're reading. So I'm going to do essentially the same thing. I'm going to read the story so that you can follow along if you choose to, and then I'm going to read the responses, and again, you can follow along if you choose to. But the idea is to use the text and go back to the text to base or justify your answer. The details and information found in the text are what's going to give you the answer, the correct answer to what is being asked. This story is called A Perfect Snow Day. Early one Friday morning, Alyssa jumped out of bed and raced to the window. Last night, when she had gone to sleep, there had been some flurries. Now the glare of the sun reflected off the pristine fine powder that was covering every surface. Alyssa skipped downstairs joyfully because she was almost positive that today would be a snow day and she could ask her parents to take her sledding in the park. Alyssa made her way to the kitchen to find her mom making pancakes. It looked like she had a snow day too. "Good morning, sweetheart," her mom said from the stove. "Good morning, Mom. Do I have a snow day today?" Alyssa asked optimistically. She was almost shaking with excitement. "Yes, dear, there's no school today because the conditions on the road are unsafe," her mother replied. "Yippee!" Alyssa let out a cry and jumped up and down. "Does this mean that we can go sledding in the park today?" she asked, still racing around with excitement. "I don't see why not. We'll leave after breakfast," Alyssa's mom replied as she sat down a steaming plate of pancakes. Alyssa scarfed down her breakfast and went to get ready. Within the hour, they were in the car, equipped with their supplies, and on the way to the park. Luckily, at the park, Alyssa and her mom were able to find a small hill that was relatively empty. They spent most of the morning frolicking on the hill. By lunchtime, Alyssa was famished. She had made snow angels, had a snowball fight, built a snow fort, and gone sledding. She and her mom had plans to make a snowman after lunch. Alyssa held her mom's hand tightly as they made their way to the food court located in the park. As most people had spent the morning engaged in various activities, the food court was crowded too. The duo grabbed some sandwiches and hot chocolate and tried to find a spot to sit in the outdoor seating area. They found 2 seats next to the heater and gratefully sat down. The heat baking Alyssa's back seemed like a blessing after all of that snow. She hadn't realized how cold she was until just that moment. Halfway through her meal, Alyssa realized something. The girl sitting next to her was alone, and she wasn't eating. The more Alyssa looked at her, the more curious she became. This little girl was shivering under her cardigan sweater. A cardigan? In the snow? She must have forgotten her jacket, Alyssa thought to herself. The girl was curling in on herself from the cold. Alyssa had finished eating, so she decided to make conversation with her quiet neighbor. "Hi, I'm Alyssa," she introduced herself. The girl looked up, startled that she was being spoken to. "Oh, my name is Lily. It's nice to meet you, Alyssa," Lily replied. Her voice had a sing-song quality to it. "If you don't mind me asking, who is here with you? You've been sitting alone for quite some time," Alyssa questioned. Lily winced and waited a beat before answering. "I actually came here by myself since I am visiting my grandparents." "Oh," Alyssa replied. "Well, my mom and I were about to go make a snowman, and you're more than welcome to join us if you would like." "Oh, really?" Lily's entire face lit up. She had been sitting alone all day. She couldn't wait to have someone to play with. Just then, Alyssa's mom called her. Alyssa grabbed Lily's hand, and together they made their way to Alyssa's mom. Alyssa introduced Lily to her mom. "Mom, this is Lily. I asked her if she would like to help us build our snowman." "Lily, this is my mom. She's the tallest, so she puts the snowman's head on," said Alyssa. The small group made their way up the hill to the hill with the softest snow. Alyssa bent down to make a small snowball to start the process. When the snowball was firm enough, she dropped it in the snow, got on her knees, and started rolling it. Lily also got down and started to help Alyssa by pushing the snowball. The two girls continued to roll the snowball until they couldn't move it anymore. They left the large snowball where it was and started working on the body, which was slightly smaller than the base. When it was an appropriate size, they hoisted it onto the base with the help from Alyssa's mom. Alyssa and Lily moved to smooth down the edges of the snowman. Just then, Alyssa noted Lily's hands. She wasn't wearing any gloves. "Lily, your hands are all red. Where are your gloves?" Alyssa grabbed Lily's hands with her own gloved ones. Lily looked down at her bright red hands. Her palms were bright red, and her fingers were incredibly pale. Her hands had gone numb after a while, and she hadn't realized just how cold they were. "Oh, I forgot my gloves. I couldn't buy another pair, but I really wanted to play in the snow today," she said. Silence followed Lily's explanation. "Oh, Lily, you should have told me. I always have an extra pair with me. Remember, sharing is caring. Here, take these and I'll go get my extra pair," Alyssa said as she pulled off and handed her gloves to Lily. She ran to her bag to get an extra pair. Alyssa's mom had been listening to the exchange. She squatted down so that she was eye level with Lily. "Lily, dear, I know that playing in the snow can be a lot of fun, but you should never do it at the cost of your health. You could have gotten very sick. Promise me that you won't put your fun before your health and safety ever again," she said, and finished by raising her pinky. "I promise," Lily said as she pinky promised Alyssa's mom. They both smiled at each other in mutual understanding, just as Alyssa returned with the spare gloves. All right, here are the questions. And again, it's red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. That it's suggesting that after you read the questions, you go back and find the section of the text that answers it, and then you underline it with that color pen. Of course, you don't have to, but I highly recommend that you do at least underline or highlight it to help you make sure that your responses are correct. Answer the following questions. Underline the text evidence in the color indicated. Question 1. Why is the setting of the story important to the plot? Okay, again, setting is where it takes place, and the plot is what the story is about. A. Alyssa has a snow day and can spend the morning at home. B. It is winter vacation, so Alyssa doesn't have to go to school. C. It is morning time, so Alyssa enjoys breakfast with her mom. D. Alyssa has a snow day and can go to the park with her mother. Question 2. What conclusion can you draw about Alyssa? A. Alyssa is outgoing and friendly. B. Alyssa is nervous about meeting new people. C. Alyssa is adventurous and loves to try new things. D. Alyssa is imaginative and pretends that snowmen are real. Now, sometimes there is more than one correct response, and that is true here too. But sometimes you have to use the story to select the best correct response. What detail from the story helped you answer the question above? So again, you're going to go back to the text and use what you've read in the text to justify the answer that you chose. 3. Read this sentence from the story. "Hi, I'm Alyssa," she introduced herself. The girl looked up, startled that she was being spoken to. What does that sentence show you about Lily? How is Lily different from Alyssa? Question 4. Which detail below hints at a problem in the story? A. She hadn't realized how cold she was until just that moment. B. Alyssa had finished eating, so she decided to make conversation with her quiet neighbor. C. "Good morning, Mom. Do I have a snow day today?" Alyssa asked. She was almost shaking with excitement. D. This little girl was shivering under her cardigan sweater. A cardigan in the snow? She must have forgotten her jacket, Alyssa thought to herself. Now again, remember, sometimes there's more than one correct answer, and you've got to use the text to choose the best correct answer. Question number 5. Describe how Alyssa and her mom respond to Lily when they discover that she doesn't have gloves. What do their responses tell you about each of them? So she means each of them, Lily and her mom. Use at least 2 details from the story to support your answer. That's it. Those are the questions. I hope that going back to the text helps, and underlining helps you make sure that your answers are correct. And good luck with completing your assignment.